Jackie Dragon, it is.
Here at the beach. Look at it, the beautiful places.
So this guy here is a yellow-faced whipsnake. Now, I've just caught him moving out and about. Unfortunately, I didn't get the catch on film for you because I didn't have the camera out. I saw him, I just ran and grabbed him. Thought he might have been a brown at first because this is an area where a lot of brown snakes have been sighted. But you never know, they could just be mistaken identities for these whipsnakes because they are often confused with an eastern brown snake. Reason for that is obviously because of their brown colour, but they can easily be told apart by their different body shape, different belly colour. See how they've got more of a bluish tinge to their belly instead of the brown's white with dots belly, and they've got this beautiful little yellow comma around their eye, which is very distinctive, only they've got it. So these guys are an elapid. They're only mildly venomous, so they're not a dangerous species unless you're a very young child or a very old person or someone with heart problems. So to a healthy person they aren't dangerous at all. This is average size. Occasionally they can get a bit bigger, but this is quite a decent sized one. But you can see this guy is probably pretty old and he's not in the best of condition. You can see he's pretty skinny, but that is normal for a whipsnake to be skinny. But you can see his scales don't look in the best of condition. He's got quite a few scars and old marks from fights and stuff. And then he's got a lot of parasites here. So he's got a little subcutaneous, got a little subcutaneous parasite here. Another one down here. So he's got quite a lot of parasites, so that can be a problem with snakes that sometimes eat frogs. They can easily get parasites, but it doesn't seem to bother him too much. This one's got quite nice orange highlights here on the sides of him. Some of them actually have copper markings more on their neck and on their backside. Now when I caught this guy, he was on the move, probably hunting skinks, which is their favourite food. They're a diurnal species and their main source of food is skinks, but they will also consume small other lizards such as baby Jackie dragons, little geckos, and occasionally eat frogs and other little food sources. But yeah, so, and I've been hearing a lot of skinks around out here, so I'd say he'd be out looking for the skinks. It's been a bit of a cloudy morning and now middle of the day, sun's starting to come out, it's warming up a bit. And because they're diurnal and they're very fast species, so they're super fast, so they're really good at chasing the fast little skinks. So I'd say that's what he was doing. Now they've also adapted to these skinks. They've got very big eyes for a snake and very good eyesight, which they've adapted to be able to see all the little skinks that are running around. So they're fast, they can chase the skinks, they've got good eyes so they can see the skinks. And skinks love warm days like this, so that's what I've been out looking for. And then he obviously heard me coming. Well, not heard me coming because snakes don't have ears, but he would have felt the vibrations of me coming. Started running off into the bush and I heard something. I thought it was just another little skink. And then I saw his tail. Oh wow, finally a snake. I was chasing him and realised he was a whipsnake, grabbed him. And what he actually did, he was a lot more grumpy than the ones in my last whipsnake video. So if you scroll down a bit on my channel and you watch the latest whipsnake video, you'll actually notice in that video when me and Daniel found those two whipsnakes hiding under some old timber. The reason they were hiding is because it was a cold day, it was a bit wet, so they're probably very lethargic, which is the reason when I caught them, they actually didn't want to bite and they were very calm and slow. They weren't trying to bite me or anything, or one of them had a few goes, but yeah, they weren't biting at all, and I actually had to make them do the bite test by holding them by the head and opening their mouth. Well, this guy, because it's a warm day, so he's all warmed up and fiery, out hunting, when I grabbed him, he actually nailed me 5 times. So you can see here this finger is quite swollen. Got a bit of blood there, this finger's a bit swollen. So that's actually the normal result of a whipsnake bite, but it's still a good reaction. With the last whipsnake bite, I'd say because he didn't actually want to bite me, but I made him bite me, what he actually did was inject only half the amount of venom, or a small amount of venom, and not the full dose, whereas this guy, he's quite grumpy. He's calmed down a bit now, but yeah, he injected the full dose of venom in all 5 bites, so it's made more of a normal reaction, bigger reaction than the last bite, so it's actually kind of swelling up my fingers, which is still a reasonably good reaction because some people are in immense pain and have their whole arm swollen up from a whipsnake bite, so it just depends on the sensitivity of the person. It hurt a little bit, and now it's not even painful anymore, but yeah, my fingers are quite swollen, which is a classic symptom of a whipsnake bite. So I do suggest don't try to catch these, don't get bitten by them, especially if you're a small child or got heart problems or something. It's alright, buddy, because their bites can hurt depending on the people. And also you don't want to catch them if you mistake them for a brown snake and it actually is a brown snake. You bite you, then you're in a lot of trouble. But they're a beautiful little species, native to Australia, eastern half of Australia, and then there's another subspecies in the top end, in Western Australia, but most of them are just on the east coast. They're a reasonably common species, often seen in gardens, and they're sometimes communal, so they can be found alone, but often they'll actually live in pairs or small groups, even large groups sometimes. There's actually been cases of them often hiding in rock retaining walls in people's gardens, a whole big colony of them, like 10, 20 of them, and snake catchers coming having to remove the whole lot of them. So they can be quite prolific in some areas. It's funny how last season I was looking for these all the time, never found one, and then 3 in 2 weeks now. Good. Very nice little catch. Yeah, they're an absolutely beautiful snake species. So he's just calmed down now and he's just resting on my hand there. Hey buddy. Yellow-faced whipsnake. Pretty common in the dry areas. They're not much of a swampy dweller. They prefer dry areas, rocky areas, wood, kind of bushland, or just areas like this. All this dense, dry bushland is their preferred habitat. Often they love habitats with a lot of ground cover, like rocks and wood, tin. Absolutely beautiful little species. Buddy. So because I've just been bitten a lot of times by a whipsnake now, probably about 7 times in the past 2 weeks, next whipsnake I could catch I should probably be a little bit more careful not to be bitten. I still free handle it, but just try not to get bitten, because actually sometimes if you get bitten by a mildly venomous snake, after you've been bitten by it quite a lot, which varies in people, some people can take hundreds of bites, some people can only take 2 or 3, but if you get bitten a few times, you can actually become hypersensitive to the venom, which is kind of like a mild allergy, and you'll actually get quite sick, and there have even been cases of people dying from hypersensitivity to a mildly venomous snake's venom. It's different to being allergic to venom from the start, but yeah, it can happen and it's not too nice. Is it, buddy? Yeah, what a beautiful snake. Nice, I'll take the photos of it. Right, they're not like a brown snake, as in often a brown snake, or while they don't chase you like a common myth, often a brown snake when cornered will rear up to try to defend itself. As a whipsnake, another way you can tell the difference. As soon as you see them, they're off, they're very fast, and they will only bite you if you actually go and catch them or try to kill them. They don't rear up and defend themselves at all, unless you've already caught them. They always run away. They're very fast species. I left my camera over there, my other camera. Okay, so I'll just show you inside his mouth. I'll do it on this end. So it's not a good idea to pin snakes by the head too much, because often it can hurt them, but if you know what you're doing, like I do, I know the right sort of grip to have. It's alright. And you can see there, probably not focusing, but yeah, you can see his fangs are actually in the top there. There's those little pockets, and the fangs actually slide out of those pockets. I'll just get him to bite. Want to bite, buddy? No, he doesn't want to bite me anymore. He's calmed down quite a bit, which is a bit of a characteristic of this species. Often they'll be quite snappy when you first get them, and then they'll calm down once they realise that you haven't eaten them. So symptoms, you'll get a little bit of stinging and then swelling. Might start throbbing a bit, but that's not too bad. They're apparently one of the more painful, actually, Australian leopards, even more than some of the highly venomous species, because they've only got a mild venom, so they try to make it very painful to discourage predators. Predators of this species would be things such as birds of prey, any kind of birds pretty much, ravens, crows, magpies, kookaburras, eagles, falcons, hawks. Birds will all eat them. Unfortunately, our feral animals like cats, foxes, feral dogs and all that, bad animals that shouldn't be here will eat them. Goannas will eat them. Larger snakes will eat them. So they do have quite a few predators, so they've got to be careful. Go, buddy. See that? There he is. Off he goes. Probably a bit. Hopefully this focuses. Once again, sorry I didn't get the catch on camera. I just saw a bolt from the path up there all the way down here where I caught him. These guys can actually move pretty fast. I'm probably thinking, why am I filming this? It's just another whipsnake. But this is actually called a common scaly-foot legless lizard. So they're not a snake. Now look, this looks like a snake, right? But they're actually not. They're a legless lizard. Now, I could tell it's a legless lizard, not another whipsnake. One, as soon as I saw the face, dead giveaway. Those ears right there. No snakes have ears. They've also got, where's the tail start? It should be just around here. There. Just here, before the tail starts, they've actually got skin flaps. Just the tiny remnants of back legs, tiny little flap of skin. Or scales, I should say. They've also got a fleshy tongue, which I saw before. So that's how you tell he's a legless lizard and not a snake. They're a pretty amazing species. I don't know if this focuses or not. I'm really sorry if this turns out to be a crap video. I don't know if it's focusing or not. But yeah, this guy is a common scalyfoot, which is probably the most common species of legless lizard you find around the east coast, as well as the Burtons. And this is a good sized one. Look at the size of this. This is the biggest common scalyfoot I've personally ever seen. I've got a mate who's seen one quite a bit bigger, but, well, not hugely bigger actually, but a little bit bigger. But this is a good size. I've only seen them a lot smaller, about that big and pretty skinny. But so yeah, this is the biggest scalyfoot I've ever seen personally, and anyone would agree that this is a good sized scalyfoot. These guys are diurnal and nocturnal, so you can find them in the day, the dusk and dawn, or at night. So they'll basically come out whenever they feel like it. Oh no, it's starting to rain. And these guys come out and they feed on mainly insects and arthropods. So they'll eat spiders, moths, ants, scorpions, beetles, any of those little bugs they can find. They will consume, in captivity, they've been known to consume banana. These guys vary greatly in pattern, depending on where they live and the individual. This is the most common patterning I've ever seen, just this normal grey colour that makes them look like a whipsnake. Some of them are also orange colour. And once you get into the outback part of their range, they've got all these nice marking spots and stripes and that on them. Yeah, they're a beautiful looking species. The scales feel different to any kind of snake as well. They're a lot rougher scales than many of the brown coloured snakes around this area. What a cool little lizard. This is nice. So these guys have quite a large range. They range across the east coast and then quite far inland to to almost central Australia. They range through central New South Wales. So they can live in almost any habitat. I've personally found them in habitats like this, dense forests, open forests, grasslands, and at the beach. So they can have quite a wide range of habitat. They usually calm down once you've caught them and stay pretty still. And they're usually very reluctant to bite, probably because they don't want you to see their fleshy tongue and think that they're not a snake. So they've actually evolved to look like a snake, to mimic snakes like brown snakes, so predators won't attack them as much, but most predators still do. Predators would be any of our stupid feral animals that shouldn't be here. and birds, goannas, snakes, almost anything really will eat them. Very current species. They're reasonably common, but I haven't seen one this season, so it's fine. Probably see I saw 3 last spring. So they're not too rare. Yeah, so this is a good size for the standing yeah, release them off. Try and run away when you first see him quite fast, but once you've caught them, as you can see here now, he's just sitting here trying to play dead. So let's film. Actually, one more thing to point out. I just point out, with a snake, it's okay to grab the tail for a bit and take photos, but with the legless lizard, these guys actually will drop their tails like a skink. The legless lizard is actually the most closely related to the gecko family rather than skinks, and just like geckos and skinks, they can drop their tails, so that's where his tails start. You can actually see this guy has previously dropped and regenerated his tail. See there? Right there, he's actually dropped the tail, and this part is all regrown. You can tell because it's got less patterns and feels smoother. It's starting to rain, I'm gonna get out of here. Go, buddy. They move a bit different to snakes. Out of the rain, buddy. Okay guys, click the link in the top left to subscribe to the channel. Click the link in the bottom left to see a video that I selected for you. See the top right to see the latest video, or the bottom right to see a video YouTube selected.